All right, we talked about some rules yesterday in class, and I want to just kind of demonstrate what I meant because I went back and graded things, and I want to make sure that we're really clear. I want you guys to be able to watch this lots of times. So I'm going to create a sample application. I want the application to use tkinter. It's going to just take two inputs and add them together. So keeping it very simple, okay? So in my prompt that I'm going to put into ChatGPT, let's just go through it real quick. I'm going to start with, I am creating a new procedural Python app using tkinter. Procedural means not object-oriented. Object-oriented uses words like class and self. Procedural just reads it from the top down. Okay, so we're going to make sure it says procedural Python app using tkinter, so it knows there's going to be a GUI that takes two. Let's change that to two inputs and adds them together with a button push. The name of the button should be push me. I want the GUI to be 800 by 600 with a title of example application. The GUI should be in the main.py file in a main function. The math should be in a app functions.py file. Just with this right here alone, that should be enough to write almost the entire application. Okay, so I'm going to paste that in with that small change, and I'm going to see what ChatGPT gives us out. While I'm doing that, I'm going to go ahead and create my application. Main.py, remember, it does not go inside my environment folder, okay? And I'm going to create a new directory here called app, okay? Meanwhile, I want to also go into VCS, enable version control for this one, and make sure that if I have it read like this, okay, I'm going to right click on it, go down to Git, and make sure I say add so that it will turn green. That means I want to push it up, okay? And then when I want to push, there's this little commit button here. Mine might look a little different than yours for whatever reason, maybe because I'm using, but I can push it up here and make sure you add like a, first time, commit and push, and it's going to say define remote, okay? And I could either put in the URL origin here, or I can say, I'm going to go to Git and say, I think it's GitHub, share project on GitHub, and it will actually create one, repository name here, and click share. And at this point, either it basically just already sent it all out there, all right? So it is actually out there and it's good. So for right now, I'm going to minimize that and we'll look back at our project. All right. Over on the other inside app, I'm going to create a new file called functions.py. And it says, do you want to add this to Git? If I say don't ask again and click cancel, it won't add any of them. So I'm going to click add, and that means yes. If I look at it, it's going to turn green. Okay. All right. So I'm going to come over to my code, and in functions, I'm just going to paste that in here. And it says def add two numbers, try, and then return back the answer. All right. I need to add some comments here. So I'm just going to say add two numbers together and return answer. Something like that. Okay. And then in the main, I'm just going to copy the code right out of ChatGPT right into the main. Okay. And notice that it added this button click function here. Okay. I don't want any other functions in here, including this function to call when button is clicked. Okay. So I'm going to go back to ChatGPT and tell it, do not use any functions inside main function. And it should just rewrite the code and make it work without it. When I told it to do that, it actually just moved the code. Let me just paste it in here. It moved the code from inside here to out of this. Again, not what I want. I don't want another function on this page. So I simply said my next response was move the button click function right here, button click, to functions.py. And it came back and said, okay, let's do that. So when I click on functions, now there's two functions here, okay? The add numbers and the button click. I could also tell it, make sure you comment the code in the functions.py file. And then it should just auto add functions there. I could do it myself. It should be pretty easy. But it looks like it's adding functions, adding some comments pretty easy. All right, I'm going to copy that code and just paste it back in. It's a little bit better. A little bit, like this might be a little bit too much comments. You could technically maybe get rid of these, and that will be just fine like that. Okay. Anyway, we'll go back over to main and grab our new main code, our updated main code that removes this. And I'm just going to paste that in. Okay. And notice that it says it calls the on button click, and on button click is being imported by app functions. And because app or functions is inside app, we go app.functions, import, and then the actual function that we want. And over here, that all seems to work. So let's go ahead and run our application. So I want to go back here, and if I right click here and say run main, okay, run main, and I could say 1 and 1 results equals 2. Pretty easy, okay? When I click stop, and if I click on functions, with run main, always like this, even if I make changes here and I click run, it will still work. Okay, that's kind of a little trick that's easy. Okay, and now I want to push my code out to, now that it's all finished, I want to push my code out to the repository, right? So I can come over here to commit, and I could look and drop this down here and say, you know what, I want to send both of those out, and click commit, and they have both been pushed out. When I go and look at my actual code, let's go ahead and see what it looks like out on GitHub. On GitHub, I can look and see, I think we called this Python project. Let's make sure that we commit it. So we've got it. It's all been done. We make sure we have to push it. Okay. So what it looked like, let's push this right here. When I looked at it, it didn't have it there. Okay. And it said it was 6 minutes ago. And I know I just pushed it, right? So what you could say is, why didn't it do it? Well, when you go back over here to the actual project, you said, oh, maybe I didn't push it all the way. Maybe I committed it, which is what this one button here does. But this right here is going to actually push it. Okay. So when I go back to my project, if I make a change, so I make a change and I go back to my little commit button, it says there's been a change. Okay. I can commit it. Committing it doesn't actually send it up. So you actually want to say commit and push. There's nothing to push. So you have to actually come in and be like, okay, well, let's push. So if you go here, get, you can go push. Okay. So you'll want to push it up. Okay. So committing it just kind of like saves it. Pushing it actually commits it. So let's go out and look at our GitHub, refresh that. Okay. And this is what we want it to look like. We want to have our main, and we want to have a folder inside our main. We want it to be very clean. We want to have this down here as the if main call main, so our main call and our main function with our GUI in it. Okay. Inside app, we want to have our functions page. We want it to be commented, and we want it to have all of our functions. Okay. If your quiz and all that stuff doesn't look like that, then this is where you're going to be getting a 0, and you need to just adjust it. As soon as it does, resubmit to Georgia View, and I will regrade and double check. This is what I'm looking for. I'm just going to log in, look, does this look right? And does this look right? And if it looks a little bit crazy, I'm going to do the download over here. And I'm going to then I'll click on the download button, and then I'll then run it and try to figure out what's going on with your code.